we're making my mini cakes. My name is Lori and you're watching The Icing Artist. To get started, I baked a 6-inch round vanilla cake that I am now going to cut out all of my mini cakes out of. To cut out my mini cakes, I am going to use a circle cutter and be very careful that I'm cutting straight down. I have had it before where I'm like cutting slightly on an angle, and believe me, those cakes come out on an angle. The first of our 4 mini cakes is going to be a Christmas tree. So I just layered that up with my buttercream icing, and I'm gonna want to stick a mini cake board underneath this Christmas tree so that way I can move it around easily. Using a small serrated knife, I just carved this into really like a tall cone shape. I'm making it skinnier than I want because I'm gonna fatten it up with all the leaves. I'm going to crumb cut my cake using my green buttercream. I'm going to do that just in case there's any patchiness in between my piping. It'll just look like green and it'll blend in with the rest of the tree. Then I just add the rest of my green buttercream into my piping bag with a really small star tip, and I'm just gonna start piping little stars all over this little cone. Everything's little because it's all miniature. So you're just kind of like pressing in with your piping tip and then stop pressing the icing and pull away, and then that gives like a nice little leaf effect. Now I have a trick. Now this is just like a regular tree. We need to make it into a Christmas tree, so I'm gonna cover it in sprinkles, but I do not want sprinkles all over the floor. So I just took my cake and I put that on a small cake pan that's inside of a large cake pan, and that is going to be my sprinkle catcher. Basically just tossing sprinkles at the tree at this point to try to get them to stick to the sides. And of course we need to top this tree off with something, so I'm just gonna roll out my yellow fondant. I cut out like a little baby star and stuck that right on the top of our Christmas tree. Guys, if you have not subscribed to this channel, then hit that subscribe button down below and don't forget to ring that cute little notification bell. Next up, I'm gonna be making my ornament cake. Now I wanted this to be like a round sphere, obviously. So I just baked my cakes in these little half sphere pans I have. They're so cute. Popped them out and leveled off the top. I cut a little flat edge on one of them so that way my ball doesn't go like a rolling off the table. And it's easier to ice and cover, and you know all those things. It's like obvious. Layered those 2 halves up and then crumb coated them with my buttercream icing. I always found with mini cakes, if you stick a skewer right down the center of them, it helps you crumb coat them so much easier without them wobbling all over the place. I then just rolled out my blue fondant and draped that over the whole sphere and just kind of smoothed it out with my hands, really tucking into the bottom. I trimmed off the bulk of the excess fondant and then just used another piece of fondant and just helped really kind of smooth out the sphere. The easiest way to smooth out fondant sometimes is to use fondant with just a little bit of icing sugar. Then just finished really like tucking that fondant right in underneath the cake and trimmed off the excess. Now I could do any decoration on top of this ornament, but I thought would be really cute would be a snowman. So I just rolled out my white fondant, cut out 3 circles, obviously different sizes. I cut a little piece off of those circles so that way they smushed together really easily. Made the world's tiniest top hat, followed by the world's biggest pain in the butt little baby coals. This tiny snowman is reminding me of that snow globe cake I made like last year. It was so cute. I made this like little scene inside of a snow globe. If you guys want to see my full Christmas playlist, click the eye. There's like so many cakes there. Added on a little baby carrot nose and a red scarf. This ornament has a lot of details. Once I was done with that, I just added a little bit of water to the back of my snowman to act as my glue to glue that onto the rest of the ornament. I then added his branch-like arms. And then to decorate the rest of my ornament, I just cut out snowflakes using my snowflake plunge cutters. These are my favorite plunge cutters because they are so detailed and so pretty. Yes, Christmas, I get to use them. I then made the ornament nub out of white fondant and then just dusted that silver. I love this silver dust. It just brings so much life to everything, and I just glued that right on top. Come on, how cute is that? Next up, we are going to be making a Christmas gift to go underneath our tree. Well, not really, because they're gonna be the same size, but you get the point. So I just cut out a very square-shaped cake out of my big cake. And because presents actually usually have something underneath the wrapping, we're gonna make this like a miniature surprise inside. I'm super excited about this. Okay, so I cut my square cake into 3 layers and then cut out the center of the middle layer. I then layered up those layers with buttercream icing and filled it with little tiny miniature sprinkles. So that way when you cut it open, sprinkles are just gonna come up pouring out. I then crumb coated that with my buttercream icing. I then covered it in a limey green fondant and just really smoothed it out using my fondant smoother. Now we're going to be going fancy with this wrapping. This wrapping is going to have a pattern on it and a big bow and everything. So for my ribbon, I rolled out my red fondant and just cut those into strips. I then wrap that around the gift, such as you would do with ribbon. And then for my wrapping paper pattern, I thought I would go with different size of red and white circles. So I just cut those out using different size piping tips. This works great when you need to cut out like little miniature circles. Then glue those scattered around my little gift using some water. Now for that giant fluffy bow that we're gonna put right on top, I just took those strips, put a little water in between and pinched the end. So you've got these little loops. And really you're just like building on the loops. You're gonna do a big layer of loops on the bottom and then kind of stagger them as you go up. Normally you should be letting these loops dry if you're making like a big bow, so that way they don't collapse in on itself, but they are so tiny and miniature, you don't have to worry, you just can keep layering. Lastly, I'm gonna do Santa's hat. Very similar to the tree, I just cut out round cakes, layer those up with my buttercream icing, cut it into a cone. I crumb coat it with my buttercream icing. I then just rolled out my red fondant, drape that right on top. Use my hands really to try to smooth out that top of the cone first. Smooth out all along the sides, really pushing it into the bottom and trimming off the excess fondant. Then all you need is some buttercream icing, a round piping tip, and you're just gonna pipe a very fluffy trim all along the outside and the top of the hat. Now last week I made a full Santa cake that is the cutest. I'm super obsessed with it. I know you guys will be too. If you haven't seen it, make sure to click the eye and check it out. I hope you guys are loving this mini cake series as much as I am. If you guys want to see more mini cakes, I want to know, what do you guys want me to miniaturize next? Leave a comment down below. And of course guys, don't forget to come back here again next week so we can make something else in a cake. Bye guys.